Hello, you're watching the English News Bulletin on QPVN channel. I'm Chong Nguyễn, and now let me keep you up to date with the headlines. Resolution on amendments to Constitution adopted. Vietnam and Cuba foster special solidarity. Taiping completes program to remove temporary and dilapidated houses. On June the 16th, continuing the 9th session chaired by National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn, the 15th National Assembly voted to pass the National Assembly's resolution on amending and supplementing a number of articles of the Constitution 2013. Attending the session were General Secretary Tô Lâm, President Lương Cường, and Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính.
With an approval rate of 100%, the National Assembly officially passed the resolution on amending and supplementing a number of articles of the Constitution 2013. The resolution takes effect as from June 16, 2025. The key revisions focus on provisions concerning the Vietnam Fatherland Front and social political organizations, as well as provisions under Chapter Number 9, enabling the implementation of a two-level local government structure and the resolution to end the operation of district-level administrative units nationwide from July 1st. With an active, serious, open-minded, scientific and responsible working spirit, the Committee for Drafting Amendments and Supplements to a number of articles of the Constitution has completed the particularly important task assigned by the National Assembly right from the first sitting of this 9th session. The amendment and supplementation of a number of articles of the Constitution has become an important political activity, promoting the high sense of responsibility and patriotism of all classes of people. Also on the working session, with 100% of votes in favor, the 15th National Assembly passed the law on the organization of local government amended. The law consists of 7 chapters and 54 articles, taking effect from the date of its approval.
The same day, the National Assembly convened to discuss the bill on Vietnam's participation in UN peacekeeping operations. General Phan Văn Giang, Minister of National Defense, delivered a statement clarifying several issues raised by National Assembly deputies.
The law is expected to provide a comprehensive, stable, and long-term legal framework for Vietnam's deployment of peacekeeping forces, enhancing the country's international standing and contributing to the strategy of safeguarding the fatherland early and from afar. A notable new provision in the draft law is the proposed inclusion of state civil servants and public employees among those eligible to participate in UN peacekeeping missions. Many deputies agreed that expanding participation to civilian personnel would allow Vietnam to engage more deeply in peacekeeping operations, particularly in leadership roles and policy planning positions within UN missions and headquarters. The inclusion of civilian personnel in the UN peacekeeping contingent is a well-considered and appropriate proposal. It ensures the law's long-term stability, incorporates clear political, legal, and practical justifications, and aligns with the parties' directions, current legal frameworks, and international realities. Several deputies also emphasized the need for special policies tailored to those directly participating in peacekeeping operations, given the harsh, complex, and hazardous working environments in mission areas. There was particular support for introducing favorable policies to encourage greater participation by women. Addressing the concerns raised by the deputies, General Phan Văn Giang expressed his appreciation for their sincere and constructive input. He affirmed that the ministry would consider the proposals, especially those calling for preferential and supportive policies for women peacekeepers.
và ghi nhận những cái
We appreciate the contributions from deputies and will incorporate their suggestions. In our peacekeeping missions, military medical teams often face high risk of infection, yet there were no specific policies addressing this until a 2020 National Assembly resolution. The new law will allow such issues to be clearly regulated through decrees and circulars. Minister Phan Văn Giang also affirmed that the Ministry of National Defense would seriously incorporate the feedback from National Assembly deputies and coordinate with relevant agencies to ensure the law is tightly drafted.
Within the framework of the official visit to Cuba on June the 15th local time, a high-ranking military delegation of the Vietnam People's Army, led by General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff and Deputy Defense Minister, visited the Fidel Castro Root Center in Havana. Sing Lieutenant General Roberto Legra Sotolongo, Chief of the General Staff, Deputy Minister of the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces, welcomed the delegation. The same day, General Nguyễn Tân Cương visited the Vietnamese embassy in Cuba.
The Fidel Castro Root Center is a place to collect, preserve, conserve, and honor the legacy of the Cuban commander-in-chief, serving the purpose of researching and disseminating Fidel Castro's thoughts for future generations. It also regularly organizes conferences, seminars, meetings, competitions, holds academic events, teaches and carries out research projects, and produces media works related to Fidel. Here, General Nguyễn Tân Cương and the delegation visited the exhibition of artifacts and images associated with the life and revolutionary career, introducing the thoughts of leader Fidel Castro and his special affection for Vietnam. Noting in the guest book, General Nguyễn Tân Cương expressed his honor when visiting the Fidel Castro Root Center and believed that the special Cuba-Vietnam relationship founded by President Fidel Castro and President Ho Chi Minh would always be respected, nurtured, and developed by generations of leaders of the party, state, and people and militaries of the two countries, becoming an exemplary relationship of the times. On June the 15th, welcoming the high-ranking military delegation of the Vietnam People's Army, Vietnamese ambassador to Cuba, Lê Quang Long, briefed General Nguyễn Tân Cương and the delegation on the outstanding results in the diplomatic work between Vietnam and Cuba in recent times. In the overall relationship between the two countries, defense cooperation has always been one of the pillars, a model for promoting cooperation in other fields. Chief of the General Staff Nguyễn Tân Cương lauded the outstanding results that the Vietnamese embassy in Cuba has reaped in recent times, continuing to affirm and foster its role as a bridge to tighten the special solidarity of the two parties and peoples, including defense cooperation, while hoping to receive support from the embassy as was from the ambassador personally in further strengthening the consolidating the Vietnam-Cuba defense cooperation relationship.
Also on June the 16th, the Ministry of National Defense held a meeting to evaluate and approve the results of the dioxin-contaminated soil remediation project at Aso Airport in Hue City. The session was chaired by Sing Lieutenant General Phùng Sĩ Tấn, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army and Vice Chairman of Standing Office 701 under the National Steering Committee on Settlement of Post-War Unexploded Ordnance and Toxic Chemical Consequences.
The project, led by the Chemical Corps, aimed to thoroughly treat approximately 38,718 cubic meters of soil and sediment contaminated with dioxin in the Aso Airport area. Notably, it is the first project of the kind to be implemented entirely with the Vietnamese funding and technology, meeting national safety and environmental standards. The project helps protect public health and support local socio-economic development. To date, nearly 39,000 cubic meters of contaminated soil have been successfully treated. Sing Lieutenant General Phùng Sĩ Tấn emphasized that the project reflects not only the military dedication to environmental recovery, but also its fulfillment of its three core functions: combat force, working force, and production force. He urged the Chemical Corps and relevant units to incorporate feedbacks from the Acceptance Council members and finalize the documentation for the ministry's approval.
In order to improve the capacity of UN peacekeeping force, Vietnam Level 2 Field Hospital Rotation 6 recently organized health screening and training in first aid and cardiopulmonary resuscitation for officers and military units on duty at the Unity Division of UNMISS. The health screening program was implemented systematically, helping detect early pathological risk in harsh working conditions. In addition, the emergency training course drew the participation of a large number of international colleagues, focusing on handling real-life situations. Trainees participated in models, improving their reflexes and coordination skills when incidents occurred. Trainees practiced on models, improving their reflexes and coordination skills when incidents occurred. The activity contributed to enhancing the self-protection capacity of the UN peacekeeping force in the field, while demonstrating the proactive role, sense of responsibility, and professional capacity of the Vietnamese medical team at the UNMISS. Coming up next, National Press Festival and National Press Awards to be held. Taiping completes program to remove temporary and dilapidated houses. The Vietnam Journalist Association held a press conference on June the 16th for the National Press Festival 2025 and the National Press Awards 2024.
With the theme, Vietnamese press, loyal, creative, courageous, innovative for the cause of building and safeguarding the fatherland. This year's press festival will gather 80 central and local press agencies with nearly 130 unique displaying booths of press products covering all aspects of the country's economy, politics, culture, social life, defense, security, and foreign affairs, many of which will also feature such new technologies as AI, 3D modeling, hologram, or virtual reality applied in their products. Regarding the 19th National Press Awards 2024, this is the first year that the awards includes two new categories of multimedia press and creative press. 128 outstanding press works will be awarded at the closing and awarding ceremony right on the 100th anniversary of the Vietnamese Revolutionary Press, June 21st, 2025 in Hanoi.
With strong political will and a spirit of unity under the model, the state and the people work together. Taiping Province, now part of New Hưng Yên Province, has successfully completed its program to eliminate makeshift and dilapidated houses for poor and near-poor households, finishing ahead of the government's deadline. The achievement is particularly notable as the province also had to implement a new two-tier local government model while maintaining its political and social responsibilities.
This storm season, many poor and near-poor families no longer have to worry about deteriorating homes. For them, the new houses are not just shelters, but a symbol of the deep care from the party, state, and local authorities, encouraging them to rise out of poverty and stabilize their lives. My old house was just 30 square meters, crackled and leaking every time there was a storm. Thanks to the support of the government, I received nearly $4,000, and my children helped me build this beautiful, spacious new house. I'm so happy. Despite undergoing administrative restructuring and adopting the two-tier local government structure, authorities at all levels in Taiping have worked in parallel to ensure the program progressed efficiently. Thanks to coordinated leadership, the locality has met its target ahead of the June 20th deadline set by the Provincial Steering Committee. Following directives from higher levels, we established a steering committee reviewed all eligible households with the joint efforts of the authorities and the public. We've now essentially completed the removal of temporary houses. In addition to this program, Taiping has also completed its housing support plan for over 3,000 families of war heroes and martyrs. Alongside central and provincial funding, the For the Poor Fund raised nearly $2.3 million and thousands of voluntary work days to help those in need, underscoring a humane and inclusive spirit that ensures no one is left behind.
And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch the news again at qpvn.vn. Now, thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.